Well, welcome everyone. Appreciate your time this afternoon. We have markets joining us in person and markets joining us remotely. So my name is Jessica Rilling. I'm the Executive Director with Iowa Valley RC&D. This is our first of 6 trainings for a new project I'm excited to talk about. Jason Grit and Josh Dansdill are the project coordinators. There are also support staff on the project, myself, Jake Kundert, and Jared Nielsen. And the 2 organizations, the 2 nonprofits that are coordinating the project are Iowa Valley Resource Conservation and Development. Our office is in Amana, Iowa, and Northeast Iowa, RC&D. Their office is in Postville. We're working collaboratively. And you can see our work regions on the state map there. This project actually takes us to other places in the state, and the goal is, of course, benefit at a state level for all the markets and all the market managers and vendors. So a little bit about the project before we dive into the specific training. This is a 3-year collaborative project funded by a federal grant through the USDA's Farmers Market Promotion Program, which you may or may not be familiar with. And the name of the project is Building Capacity of Iowa's Farmers Markets Through Market Manager Professional Development. We were really interested in a couple things when we submitted this grant application. Iowa ranks really high in number of farmers markets at a national level, and we were interested to see how other states that had similar or more farmers markets, how they brought kind of statewide support and technical assistance to their market managers and vendors throughout the state. This project includes a component that is actually research about other states' approach. The project coordinators will actually be traveling in year 2 of the project to Michigan to work with the staff in that state and learn more about how they provide training and assistance year-round and learn a lot from their Farmers Market Association staff. The other big component of the project is a resource toolkit. That toolkit is really meant to be a complement to existing state resources. There are resources available for market managers and a list of farmers markets in Iowa. You can visit on the Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship's website. They have the markets in their list are markets that are registered to accept farmers market nutrition programs. So we know that in addition to those, there are smaller markets also in Iowa that are just getting started or haven't necessarily registered for that program. Iowa Farmers Market Association, another great resource, and on their website is a Iowa Farmers Market Development Manual. So that's good information whether you're a new or existing market, a good resource for you. And that board live in different parts of the state. So it's a really great network to get connected with experienced market managers. So for this project, again, a complement to existing resources, Farmers Market Manager Toolkit. And you are on the training today. That's part of the toolkit. By the end of the project, we'll have completed a larger handbook that will be available and a series of vendor handouts. The goal with the vendor handouts was we know that as market managers get a lot of questions and have to coordinate a lot of things, and we really want to have that be a resource where the market manager could have a targeted handout, an engaging handout that they could give to the vendor. So that's, by vendor handout, that's what we mean. And training's the third component. Let Us Grow Markets, Farmers Market Manager Training Series. This is the first of 6. So you guys know we hope to have you join for the rest. The one today here, we're located in Williamsburg at the Public Library. Later this year we'll be in Okoboji. Decorah and Sioux City are 2018, and in 2019 we'll be doing trainings in Cedar Falls and Des Moines. They'll all be available remotely, so you don't have to go to those locations, but we did want to really encourage some in-person participation and just help folks feel like this was truly a statewide project. So we'll be in those 6 locations. So to jump in here, focus today, federal and state food assistance programs at markets. And we chose this as our first training topic based on feedback from market managers. This was what they wanted to learn about going into the 2017 season here. So our first speaker today, Josh Dansdill, he's the Regional Farmers Market Coordinator for Northeast Iowa RC&D. He wears several hats, and one of those hats actually is as chairperson for the Winneshiek Farmers Market. Has a lot of experience to share with us. Welcome, Josh.
Well, thank you for all having me, and I'm happy to talk about this topic. Spent a lot of time diving into it. Like Jessica touched on, this is a topic that was brought up by market managers from across the state as one of the top trainings that they felt they kind of would like to learn more about, and so we're doing this one first. And we feel it's important as well for another possibility for farmers markets to kind of grow their customer base. So you already have your regular customers that are coming. You want that to grow as well. How can we reach more people to come to the market to help your vendors out? And kind of an easy one to check off the box right away is accepting food assistance dollars. There are a few different types of food assistance dollars that you can accept at your farmers market. We'll be talking about all these today. A quick overview of how I will be going about this. I'm briefly describing what the program is and who the applicants can be to get the dollars. And then I will be talking about how vendors and farmers market managers can be accepted to accept the dollars. One of them is the Farmers Market Nutrition Program, which is for women, infants, and children, also known as WIC. And senior coupons, those are federal programs that provide food assistance that I'll dive into more. We have the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is also a federal program that markets can increase their customer base. And then I'm throwing in the Food Pantry Program in there as well, which is in Winnebago County. It's a newer program that's helped raise tens of thousands of dollars for the Winnebago Farmers Market through private fundraising. So I'll briefly talk about that as well. First, I wanted to dive into WIC. Here are some of the eligible applicants that apply for WIC. They're very specific towards women and children under the age of 5, none above the age of 5. They need to be nutritionally at risk. They need to only purchase fresh fruit and vegetables. This is not dried veggies, herbs, or spices. And WIC is done through county agencies, and I have the county map here. So if your county is highlighted in yellow, then your county has the correct authority to provide the farmers market nutrition program coupons. If you're in the non-yellow, then there's not. But all counties in Iowa accept WIC, but just not maybe at farmers market. So there are 67 of the 99 counties in Iowa that participate in the farmers market program. You can see that they are done through paper vouchers. They get less than $10, but no more than $30 over the course of the year. Some of their main goals of the program end up being to provide fresh, nutritious, unprepared, locally grown, fresh vegetables and fruits, and to expand consumers' awareness and use of farmers markets in the area. So again, here is the county map breakdown for agencies that help WIC at farmers markets. The other one to touch base on is for seniors. And for seniors, these dollars go for fruits and vegetables and honey. This one goes through the Area Agency on Aging. So contact your county Area Agency on Aging to find out more information. They provide 10 checks for $3 each. They must be 6 years or older. And that one, they have an income, and it's under $21,978 if you're single, or under $29,637 for your yearly income. Then you're eligible for the senior coupons. And the WIC and the senior coupons are done currently as paper vouchers down at the farmers market. I'll talk more about some changes that could be coming there later. The other one I wanted to touch base on was in Winnebago County. There is another senior coupon, which is administered from the Winnebago Medical Center in Winnebago County. That one is done from United Way dollars, so it's a little bit different. That they don't have any income guidelines. The age restriction is a little higher. For both senior coupons, they are administered from June 1 through October 31st on a first-come basis. The one in Winnebago County, they do $8, all in $1 in coupons, a one-time deal. And that one does not accept honey. So for all these programs, it's crucial for your vendors to know which dollars can purchase what. So there's always a confusion with honey, which is why I included that in there. Some can and some cannot. So now I want to talk about how does the farmers market accept these nutrition programs. And the way to do that is through IDOLs. The farmers market needs to register as an official farmers market. The due date for that is coming up on May 1st of 2017. They do have a final deadline of June 30th. So the farmers market needs to make sure that they are approved before the vendors can accept these dollars and get approved themselves. For a farmers market to be approved, they need to have a minimum of 3 eligible vendors, which would be the fruits and vegetables. at the majority of the farmers markets for the 11 weeks. And your farmers market needs to have consistent hours, days of operation, needs to be on a weekly basis. This is just to provide access to fruits and vegetables for the people that are on WIC and senior coupons. For the vendors also need to be accepted to set farmers market nutrition program dollars. They need to reside within Iowa, or in the neighboring states. That's something to check when you're on the border, make sure they're not too far away. They need to be 18 years or older. They need to grow 51% of the produce they sell, and then they need to go through a training that is done online and remotely. I have talked to many vendors that have done it. They said they were very scared at first and why they didn't want to do it, and then they actually took it and they're like, well, it was really easy. I don't know why I didn't do this before. So I encourage you to go on there from the IDOLS website. Stephanie Groom is the contact there for leading these trainings that will be done online. Once the farmers market has been accepted, the vendors have been accepted, they will get this handy dandy little sign, which will be put on the vendor booth. A lot of the vendors I see attach it to their tent if they're outside. This just kind of promotes, it shows that you can accept WIC and senior dollars at your vendor booth. Another program I wanted to talk about was the food pantry program that's in Winnebago County. It's administered through the food pantry program, which is the local one out of a church basement. They go through quite a few patrons throughout the course of the year, and they have been privately fundraising dollars for a few years now. This is their third year in existence. They are doing it a very similar way to the senior and the WIC coupons. They administer a little paper voucher, first come, first serve. And then they purchase, and they're all in dollar increments. Vegetables, they will go down to the farmer's market and honey. So that program actually gets used a lot for the meat and the eggs, which is otherwise they wouldn't have access to those through some of the other programs. So we found the meat vendors are very happy with that program. In 2015, they were able to raise over $20,000 to give back to the farmers market and had a redemption rate of close to 90%, which was awesome. They don't have the numbers yet for 2016, but they told me that it was around 25,000. That's pumping quite a bit of money into a farmers market of a population of 8,000 people. The other one that I wanted to talk about today, and I know Tammy will touch base on too for the Iowa City Farmers Market, is accepting the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program dollars. Up in Northeast Iowa, we only had one vendor currently accepting SNAP dollars out of 24 farmers markets. So this was a big need for the region of Northeast Iowa to try to find a way of how we can help accept some of the SNAP dollars. And I'd like to do a little brief background on SNAP to understand what it is. And when you're working with it, a lot of people still call it the food stamp program, even though now it has been changed to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's the same thing. They try to alleviate hunger and malnutrition, and this goes to people that are in economic need and need assistance purchasing food. There is a wide variety of items that you can purchase from SNAP. Going around and speaking to all the vendors, they have a lot of specific questions about what they have. Being in constant contact with the Food Nutrition Service Program, who administers SNAP, they answer a lot of questions about what can actually be accepted for SNAP dollars. But to implement a system that you can accept SNAP at your farmer's market is kind of done in two different ways currently in Iowa. One is individually with the vendor, or one can be done collectively as a farmer's market as a whole. I will briefly talk about accepting it individually. It is done through the Iowa Wireless EBT project, and this is providing vendors with their own terminal to accept credit, debit cards, and SNAP cards. This is done through the Iowa Department of Human Services. The contact is Tracy Pennick. This is a program that for us in Northeast Iowa, we had 3 to 4 vendors attempt to use the wireless EBT machine. If you've ever been to Northeast Iowa, the topography kind of is a hindrance. So none of our vendors in Northeast Iowa can actually get their machines to work wirelessly. So this caused them to not be able to participate in the program. It also required them to travel to Des Moines to take the training, which was a long commitment for them. Between that and the machine not working, they decided to call it quits a couple of years ago. So they looked for another way to try to solve this issue and try to bring in these SNAP dollars to our farmers market. And the way that's done is through a script system. This is by having one central terminal. It's used with tokens to purchase the items. The tokens are then redeemed later on from the vendors by either the market manager or market staff. When people go to use the SNAP dollars at the farmers market, they will go to the central terminal and swipe their card like they normally do, and then they are given tokens. There's a few nuances to the system that I will kind of go into here as we go through. And now we knew that we wanted to accept SNAP, and we're trying to implement the script system for the Wenatchee County Farmers Market. And we kind of had to go through a few steps to try to think about if we were ready, what did we need, and how could we get better prepared for the 2016 season, which was the first season this was implemented. So we went through and kind of assessed what the capacity was of the farmers market. There's only one paid part-time staff member for the farmers market. They're kind of strapped thin as it is, handling all their day-to-day operations. So we're like, well, that's an issue, but now we have to try to find some other possibilities. The farmers market is in a great location right downtown. We have lots of vendors, lots of people that come. So we thought we could probably easily get some volunteers interested in the program. We reached out tentatively and found that there was a desire to volunteer at the farmers market. So that kind of filled our need for the capacity building. And then we're like, well, if we want to get it, how many people in our area could we actually draw in that already are on SNAP dollars? So when we looked at the map, here's a map of the SNAP use in Iowa. This is the earliest data I could find, and this was from July of 2013. And we can see in Wenatchee County, it's actually kind of low. So we're like, well, is this something that we really want to pursue? But when we looked around, since Wenatchee County there's only one farmer's market, it actually draws vendors and market attendees from Almaquee, Fayette, and Clayton County. And we knew in Almaquee County, there was a large population that was on SNAP, and then in Fayette County as well. So it kind of met our need of, hopefully there's people around that can actually use the program if we develop it. But I think this is crucial when going and trying to develop your market, to make sure you're not just going to put it out there and that there's nobody actually can take advantage of it. You put a lot of work into it, you want to make sure that people can take advantage of it. And we looked at some funding strategies because there is the equipment and the fees and the time. So that's where the volunteers came in. We were working very closely with RSVP program, which is a retired senior volunteer program. They come and volunteer at the booth Wednesdays and Saturdays. And we also were able to find a grant out there to help purchase the machine and help purchase some of those terminal fees that happen right away. For those listening, that's the Farmers Market Coalition. They provide a grant to purchase a wireless terminal for your market. And if you Googled Farmers Market Coalition, I'm sure you'll track them down. So that allowed the farmers market to actually purchase the terminal for itself. And now they had that. We had the volunteers. We felt we were getting ready to go. And then came to the marketing and the promotion. We wanted to make sure that once we got it there, you want to make sure everybody knows you have it. And that's done through quite a few different ways. And I know Tammy will be talking about some of the ways that they've marketed and promoted their program. And through the marketing and promotion, then you find out that there's a lot of people that want to help you do this. The Wenatchee Farmers Market was lucky enough to have the RC&D that partnered with Healthy Estate, and then they partnered with Wholesome Wave to have a training. So everybody is helping out each other in this whole system, and it kind of takes the burden off of one person. And then to be able to share the knowledge and expertise through everybody throughout the state. And they're having a problem, maybe you're having a similar problem, and we can all work together to try to get something going to try to help people that are on SNAP and get those dollars to our local farmers. And then from that, another partnership came out for the Double Up Food Bucks, and as an incentive to match the dollars that are used at SNAP for fruits and vegetables at the farmers market. It's a kind of a win-win-win for everybody. I know that will be talked about a little bit later today. Just wanted to share that with everybody. And then you actually get to set it up. And there's a lot of things that kind of happen along the way. Wenatchee County had kind of a bumpy road, but they eventually got it figured out. And this is just where the communication with partners and people that have done it before really can kind of help the development of that. And I know Tammy will talk a little bit more about that. So those are the programs that are out there currently for farmers markets to accept some of these food assistance dollars to try to grow our customer base.
Thanks, Josh. So we want to welcome Tammy Neumann, who is kind enough to come to Williamsburg today, the administrative assistant for the City of Iowa City Parks and Rec Department, and also the market manager, and has been doing that for a while. So she has a lot of experience to share with us also, and we'll be welcoming her. Thank you, Tammy.
As Jessica said, my name is Tammy Neumann, and I have been the farmers market coordinator in Iowa City since 2005. Learned a lot through those years, although the SNAP and Double Up Food Bucks program is kind of new to the market as a whole. We have 120 vendors, and we were down to 3 vendors who would accept SNAP. cards. And for a lot of them, it was the same, not being able to connect to Wi-Fi. We now have Wi-Fi available where we have our market. Most of our vendors set up in a parking garage called the Chauncey Swan Parking Ramp. They've set up Wi-Fi in there now for us. But the other thing for the vendors were the transaction fees. And I can attest to that after seeing what our transaction fees were for the year, but it was certainly worth it. I'm going to go through some things that I'm going to repeat some of what Josh said, so bear with me a little bit. This is kind of some training that we had given to our vendors last year, but wanted to talk about the terminology a little bit and what that meant. And I think by now you know that the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program is also called SNAP, and also refers to what was previously known as the Food Stamp Program. The EBT that you hear referenced a lot is the electronic benefit transfer. That's the system that allows the SNAP benefits to be redeemed via an electronic card, similar to a debit card or credit card reader. And then the FNS, Food Nutrition Service, a federal benefit program run by USDA, that administers SNAP and other food assistance benefits redeemed at the farmer's market. The increased customer base is a big one, but for us even more so was getting the local foods, the healthy foods, into the hands of some of our underserved population. The benefits for having centralized EBT, the Iowa City's Farmers Market is now more inclusive to eaters of all income levels. The SNAP recipients swipe their card. Well, we have 2 card readers that we have at our information table at the farmers market. And a person can bring up their EBT card or their SNAP card, a credit card or a debit card, and swipe those through our machine. I'll talk a little bit more about the tokens and the different colors and what they mean here in a little bit. Also, of course, it benefits more consumers participating in local food movement in a meaningful way, and then enhance farmer and consumer relationships. These are the cards that our readers accept. Pretty obvious there, Visa, MasterCard, Discover. And then that bottom photo is the picture of a SNAP benefits card. These are what our tokens look like. We ordered them through a wooden nickel site online, and the blue tokens are what a person with the food stamp or SNAP cards receive when they swipe their card. Those are all $1 tokens. The red tokens are what are given for the credit and debit card people that come and swipe those cards. Those are $5 tokens. Other than the obvious difference, with the dollar tokens, there's no change given. However, with the $5 token, if somebody purchases an item that's $3, the vendor then gives that person back $2 in cash. So that was a little hard for them to swallow it for some of the vendors. You're giving me a wooden nickel and I'm giving you back cash, but obviously they get redeemed for that in the end. At our market, we worked with our city manager and our city council, and they determined that to be a market vendor in Iowa City, you have to accept the $5 debit and credit tokens. If you are eligible to accept the SNAP card, you have to do so. You cannot be a vendor if you refuse to take either one of those type of payments. And this talks again about the change for the $5 tokens. I think you'll all learn as you go here what the SNAP eligible items are. There's some trickiness to that, we've learned. Some of the things that you cannot buy are the hot foods, the drinks, arts and crafts, beer, wine, liquor, cigarettes, that kind of thing, pet foods. I can give you an example. We have a vendor that does pasta, and he sells at his stand ready to eat pasta. You cannot use a SNAP coin for that. If you were to purchase his frozen lasagna, which is packaged, you can't eat it there, you take it with you and cook it, then you can use the blue tokens for those. Here's another good example for someone who sells coffee grounds to be taken home, again, packaged. The EBT tokens are accepted for that, but you cannot use an EBT token for a cup of coffee. We made signs for all of our vendors, and these right here, what they look like. We asked that they have to have these signs in a visible location so that people don't have to ask. First of all, because we require them all, that eliminates them having to ask if they take the red tokens. The people that can take the blue, the SNAP tokens, they have to have the sign that indicates that as well. And I do have to go around sometimes and remind them, where's your sign? A lot of the costs for us actually were with this type of thing, printing and laminating, and we not only have to give those to our seasoned vendors, but we have to make sure that when a part-time or a daily vendor comes in, one, that they've received the training, but also that they have the signs to put up and show. This is, and I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is what we came up for the vendors when it comes to the redemption of their coins that they collect. They can turn these in every time they're at a market. They can turn them in monthly. They can collect them all year if they want to and turn them in at the end of the year. We had some vendors that only did return or redeem them a couple times a year. But this is an envelope that has two parts. So the top, they write in their information, and then the bottom, staff verifies it. And then we tear off that top part, that's their receipt to keep, and then we have the tokens, they get sealed into this envelope. Those are then turned in, and we have a log where we keep a record of how many did this vendor turn in on this Saturday, for instance. And our accounting department really urged that we do an electronic deposit for the majority of our vendors. That was something that was a little bit challenging at first, but the majority of them have signed up for automatic deposit. So on Monday mornings, we have a accounting system that we put invoices and such into, and so on Monday mornings I go in and I put in their name, address, whatever, how much money do we owe them, and then it's all deposited into their bank accounts within just a couple of days. So then, as you know, we were one of 6 markets that started the Double Up Food Bucks program last year. Basically provides a dollar-to-dollar match for up to $10. The Healthiest State Initiative, we collaborated with them to start this program in Iowa City. And for those who don't know, the Healthiest State Initiative is a privately led public effort that engages Iowans and their communities throughout the state. We work closely with Johnson County Public Health, and they had applied for, I believe it's a grant to the Telegen Foundation. Unfortunately, they did not receive that. So we were lucky enough that our council is very strong supporters of local food initiatives, and they actually budgeted $25,000 to go towards local food initiatives, and $5,000 of that dollars was put into the budget to purchase or to pay back the vendors basically for their tokens that they turn in for the Double Up Food Bucks program. The one token I don't have a picture of here is any of the Double Up Food Buck tokens are a silver token. So we now have 3 tokens. It sounds like it can be confusing, but it really has worked well for us. The benefits of the Double Up Food Bucks is a family brings home $20 worth of healthy food for only $10. Local farmers gain new customers and sell more produce, and more food dollars stay in the local community. Little information on the impacts of Double Up Food Bucks. In the 5 years of the Michigan Double Up Food Buck program, Michigan Farmers Market earned $5+ million with SNAP and Double Up. And 90% of participating farmers reported selling more fruits and vegetables, and 85% reported making more money. Every dollar spent with Double Up Food Bucks does at least double duty, providing $1 in new sales for American family farmers, and $1 in real nutrition assistance, improving community health and keeping food dollars circulating in the local economies. So one of the challenges for us, of course, was to get the word out to the community through advertising and all different outlets. And so these are some of them. Obviously, social media, Facebook was a big one. We purchase ads in Edible Iowa, Iowa Source. So of course now we have this information added to all of our advertising. The city has a media release program, so we, of course, we distribute those. News networks, our own Iowa City Channel 4 send a lot of programs on it. We make sure that anything that we put out there for the Iowa City Farmers Market now has somewhere on that flyer, poster, whatever, that we accept EBT, SNAP, and it talks about Double Up Food Bucks. We also sent emails, letters to all of the social service organizations in our community to let them know that we now accept these. And then, of course, we have brochures about the program that we have available at the market. It's interesting because I have a list of challenges here, but as we were talking, as Josh was talking, I was, okay, oh yeah, there's another one. But I guess one of them is the accurate record keeping. We have about 7 market attendants, and at one time or another, each of them are going to be responsible for keeping a record of the tokens that are purchased and then also the tokens that are redeemed at the end of the market. You know, our records match pretty closely, but not always. But we do have the advantage of having that receipt from that card reader so that we can kind of match it up and make sure everything does equal out. One of the things I didn't mention is we did have to purchase our card readers, and they were about $800 a piece, and we have 2 of them. One of them, for whatever reason, we had some difficulties hooking up to Wi-Fi at quite a few markets in the beginning. The other one, fine, and these people were standing right next to each other. Why? We don't know, but eventually they both started working fine. The challenge with that is, though, we have a line of people at every market waiting to buy their tokens, and especially on the Saturday where we have a lot more customers and vendors both. That could become a challenge when only one was working, but we just make it work. Again, a lot of the vendors were uncomfortable initially giving us their bank information so that we could do automatic deposit. The one thing I told them was, you know, I've been paid through automatic deposit for 19 years and it's been okay so far. So it's the same system, but I do understand that there's a lot of apprehension about giving that information to anyone. We gave them the option of sending it directly to our accounting division rather than sending it through our department if they wanted to. So it made them feel a little bit more secure. And I think once they saw that those were coming into their bank account on a regular basis, they felt a lot more comfortable. But it took a few of those deposits to do that. Again, the vendors consistently posting their signs. I know I just had an email conversation with Aaron from Healthiest State Initiative. They are printing some double up food buck posters. They're 11 by 17, and that's going to be a big challenge for our market vendors. However, as she said, we don't want people having to ask if a vendor takes those. So we're going to push that really hard with our vendors. It's very important that you make it known. We had a situation, one bad, one good. We had a few years ago where a patron wrote to us on Facebook and said it was humiliating to have to ask the vendors if they accepted EBT or SNAP. They, again, at that time we only had 3, but they're supposed to put signs up and they didn't all do that. Last year we received another note on Facebook saying how appreciative this particular person was that we now offer this and that they all take it and they don't have to ask. And so I think a big challenge too is no matter how much advertising, no matter how many radio ads, no matter how much, Facebook, you just never can get the word out enough. And we still struggle getting the word out to our SNAP recipients. Like I said, we try to find different creative ways to do that. I will say that when we started the program from, I think it was July 2nd through the end of the year, you could definitely see every week, we just get a few more and a few more and a few more. So it was getting out there. One of the other challenges we have that we've noticed with our vendors is if they don't completely understand the difference between WIC, vouchers, and tokens. Obviously, they look very different, but we had vendors that now they take tokens, so they think that they qualify to take the WIC vouchers. So we make sure at our training or our vendor meetings that we express how important it is to not take those if you don't qualify. Of course, not all the vendors come to your meetings, so then we send it out other ways to get it communicated to them. The other, again, is the daily vendors. So when we have a season vendor that's absent and we bring in a vendor from our wait list to fill in that particular day, it's very important to communicate to them. We have this program, you have to take these. You need to give them a quick training, make sure they get the signs that day they're at the market, and so on. So that can be a little bit challenging as well. But of course, when we started this, we had talked to Dubuque, and I believe the first year that they had done this, they brought in a total of $18,000. And we were hoping that we could do that amount. We found out we did a lot better than that. But again, you can see though the big difference, the blue EBT tokens, just a little under $5,000. We'd like to see that number go way up. And then the silver double up food bucks tokens, we had $2,300 of those turned in. But the red tokens are the ones that really surprised us, the debit and credit card. We don't have an ATM machine right there by the market. However, it's very close. There's 2 of them. One is across the street from the market. One is at a gas station just at the kind of diagonal. they love the fact that they can go to the information desk and swipe their card and get these tokens. And at the end of the year, as you can see, we sold over $68,000 in tokens in our first year. So that was very nice. That is all that I have.
So we heard from a larger market and a smaller market, and good experiences overall for both, and a lot of learning curves. So this, I think, would be a good time for us to